Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 19th Azerothian Fighting Championship event, live here from Highmaul Coliseum in Nagrand. What a night of fights we have lined up for you here. The main event, Jovaar versus Glenmorrow. The co-main event, Chong in his final fight of his career up against Emillea. And then, of course, the co-main events, which will crown two new #1 contenders. Let's go ahead and jump right in here. Our first fight of the night is going to be Gnome versus Goblin. As Evangeline makes their entrance into the Highmaul Coliseum to get things kicked off against Krazelbang. Alright, so here we go. As I mentioned, Gnome versus Goblin. A little bit of Alliance Revolution versus Warsong Offensive to start here. And of course, it will be Fire Mage against Disciplined Priest. This is going to be an interesting DPS versus heals matchup. And of course, as per the AFC rules, it will be a 5-round contest, 2 minutes per round. Let's go ahead and get it started here. Evangeline will be initiating the first round. And here we go. The 19th Azerothian Fighting Championship officially underway. I know you're going to start off with invisibility. Fireballs being casted by the pint-sized Punisher as Krazelbang doing a good job keeping their health topped off. And there's the first mind control of the series. And Krazelbang sidesteps a deadly maneuver there from Evangeline. And down goes Evangeline into the red zone. 5%, almost knocked out, somehow hanging on. Krazelbang looking for the finish, just 50 seconds in here. Can they score it? And yes, they can. Smite. Gonna be the dagger there in round number 1. Krazelbang leads 1-0. So Evangeline down 1 in the series, just unable to get that necessary damage to score the knockout. Did get Krazelbang down to right around 75%, but it was all offense towards the end of that first round. And of course you saw there that Krazelbang just so adept at sidestepping the maneuvers, the spells from Evangeline, and is rewarded with their first AFC victory. Evangeline down in the series, as I mentioned, and Krazelbang, as I mentioned, will start off the next round undefeated. So here we go. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, as per the rules, the winner of the previous round gets to wait until their cooldowns are back up, if need be. It's a rest period for the victor. Krazelbang drops the challenge, throws down the gauntlet, and here we go. Flurry of spells here early on. Second mind control of the series landed, and Evangeline gonna ice block out of it. Now here comes some damage from Evangeline. Leading health-wise. And it is Krazelbang who is on the defensive here, trying to get a smite off. It was interrupted. Here comes a Pyroblast from Evangeline. Gonna have to step out of that one. Shadow Men coming in from Krazelbang. Gonna try to top himself back up. There's the polymorph from Evangeline. Penance and fireballs being exchanged here. Another polymorph landed. Down goes Evangeline to 50% here. And Krazelbang is right back on top and right back in control. With just about 40 seconds remaining here in round number 2. Evangeline did a good job early on getting that damage up, but now it is Evangeline who is in the red zone, and it is Krazelbang who's looking for another knockout here in round number 2, and there it is. Krazelbang leading 2-0 in this best of 5. Krazelbang will initiate what could potentially be the final round of the night between these two. Evangeline isn't able to go back to the drawing board. Draw up something that's going to translate to a victory inside the arena. Now we are waiting for Krazelbang to initiate the third round. Leading 2-0 here, Disc Priest versus Fire Mage. There's been about 75% Krazelbang and 25% Evangeline. And really what it comes down to is later on in the round, Fire Mage just doesn't have the heals to keep up with the Disc Priest. And Krazelbang, of course, to their credit, doing a great job of mixing damage and healing, as you'd expect from a Disc Priest. So here we go. Krazelbang down to 75%. Evangeline trying to bring the pain early here. There's the mind control from Krazelbang. Krazelbang now down to 25%. Back and forth they go. Now Krazelbang getting some heals off there through the damage that he's been doing to Evangeline. Shades of what we saw in the last round where Krazelbang goes down earlier and then battles back. And as they're battling back, they're also getting that offense in on Evangeline. 60 seconds in here to round number 2. And the second mind control of this round being casted. Now both fighters neck and neck. Right around 50% health. Who's going to take it here? In round number 3, is Evangeline going to stay in the series, or is Krazelbang going to sweep the series and begin their AFC career 3-0? Krazelbang all the way back to 100%. Evangeline into the red zone here, down to 5%. Krazelbang looking for the finish, and there's your dagger. Krazelbang, undefeated. 3-0 here in Highmaul Coliseum. What a debut for Krazelbang. What a performance for the new Disciplined Priest, who has made his presence on the roster known here at AFC 19. Fantastic matchup there, Gnome versus Goblin. Situation, Krazelbang and the Warsong offensive triumphant here in the duel between the two guilds. Let's move right along here. AFC 19 live from the Highmaul Coliseum. There you see Highmaul looming in the background. Let's go ahead and make sure Krazelbang is able to leave the arena. Emillea is going to be joining us shortly here. The reigning Warsong Champion. So now it is on to our first of 2 number 1 contender fight. Two championships are going to be on the line later on in the main event and co-main event. And before that, 2 number 1 contenders are going to be crowned here. The first of those 2 number 1 contender fights is up next. And it will be between the Brahma Bull Bigstew and the Warsong Warchief, Shanush. The winner going on to fight for the Warsong Championship on the Guild's 10-year anniversary coming up later in September. Glenn, what's your prediction here? Bigstew, Restoration Shaman against Shanush, Arms Warrior. There's a lot of history between these two fighters. Back in Zul'Gurub in October of last year, Shanush got a thunderous 9-second knockout on Bigstew to shock the world. And then, of course, Bigstew in the Sunday Night Fights retained his championship against Shanush. Sort of a unstoppable force against the immovable object. But what's your pick here?
I'm going to go with Bigstew. Shaman healers have so much, heal over times that I think he'll be able to just stay up the entire time.
Shanush coming off a huge win against Smokythebear, who we'll see in action later on tonight. Bigstew looking to get back into the title picture. Only one can advance and become the number 1 contender for the Warsong Offensive. Who is it going to be? We are about to find out, as the Brahma Bull, and one of only 2 Shaman champions in guild history, makes his way to the Highmaul Coliseum. And now the first ever Horde champion in the Sunday Night Fights or AFC history makes his way into the arena for a shot at the championship that he won in the very inaugural Warsong Championship matchup back last year. The Commander and Warchief, Shanush, makes his entrance to the Highmaul Coliseum.
God said that a man should work with his hands.
Cause when I have, I'm thinking 1,000 ways to make your head come off. I'm 200 and odd pounds, 200 because I'm pouncing. Ref, shut up, I'm the winner, so just announce it. Chains came off, fangs came out. Couldn't contain me, so the cage came out. That's when the rage came out. A riding boy from the south. It's too late to turn up, he's on a rampage now. Rampage. It's your face, it's your chest going. Rampage. If you know that he's the best, yeah. Rampage. Nothing more, nothing less. Getting beat down, slam, cast down through the ranks. Rampage. Hear the chains, hear the howling. Rampage. The growling, the wilding. Rampage. He's brawling, he's pounding. Beat down, slam, cast down through the ranks.
So here we go. The reigning Warsong Champion Emillea watching on here. And taking it away on commentary, it will be Emillea and Glenmorrow. Gentlemen, take it away here. This will be a 5-round contest. And it will be 2 minutes per round, with Shanush initiating the first round.
Duel's been started. Shanush with a nice charge. Bigstew running around, not really going anywhere health-wise.
Shanush seems to be taking the damage here. Big is taking some.
Both fighters down around 75%. Bigstew back up to almost 100.
Shanush sitting around 60%.
Bigstew's going for a big round of volleys, lightning bolts on Shanush. He's down to about 30%.
Shanush bringing the pain. Bigstew's trying to hold off to get some heals. And look at that, Shanush brings himself back up in the red zone to 40%.
Big drops a healing tie totem and tries to go for all-out attack.
Both fighters now neck and neck, almost into the red zone.
Healing surges from Bigstew to get up real quick.
Shanush just under 25%. Big's looking for a knockout here. Can he get it before time's up?
And he does. So 1-0 Bigstew. He will initiate the next match.
Thoughts on that first round overall, gentlemen?
It seems like Bigstew was just holding his own. Shanush couldn't really put enough damage on him to put him anywhere that he needed to really worry about. And every time he got low enough, he just a couple good strong heals and he was back up.
Of course, Bigstew became the second shaman in guild history to hold the title. Back in the 2018 earlier this SNF season, defeated Well-Dog, retained it 2 consecutive weeks, the longest reigning healer in SNF history. Of course, the Sunday Night Fights being our seasonal 1v1 tournaments, weekly tournaments that we hold January through June. Bigstew is no longer the champion. He's trying to get back in the title picture. There's just some backstory on him and his accolades within the arena. Alright, so here we go. Bigstew is ready, and round 2 will begin when he drops the dual banner.
The second fight is up. Go.
Attacks coming right out from the start. Big's putting those heals over times on him before the pound comes from Shanush.
Oh, he's gone to Ascendant.
And it looks like Shanush has berserked.
Bigstew's Ascendancy is dropped. Down to about 50% each.
Bigstew's healing waves there interrupted.
Healing Tide Totem comes out. Big having difficulty staying a good distance away.
Shanush is really on top of him this time, really halting Big from getting those heals off, critical heals. Shanush using enemies to his advantage.
Big's Counter-Strike Totem really dropped him there, and Big was able to get a lot of heals off the guts of it. Big trying to avoid all the ogres in the Coliseum so he can't get any heals off.
Healing surge being interrupted there.
Big just trying to run at this point, let his heal over time work.
And that will do it. Time expires and Bigstew takes round number 2. So Bigstew up 2-0. We'll initiate round number 3 here. Only needs one more victory. And he will be the new #1 contender for the Warsong title. And that means it will be Bigstew against either Emillea or, depending on how the Warsong title fight goes later tonight, might be somebody else. If Chong wins it, he will be retiring afterwards, so we might have to have a battle royale or something like that to crown a new Warsong champion. We will see. So here we go.
Hex coming out and right again from the start. Big dropping quickly now. Shanush has the ground and pound right out from the start. Block that Hex.
Counter-strike totems out. Healing stream totems out. Big down to about 40%. Shanush at 70.
Big trying to get himself back up again. Berserk has been, Bloodlust has been released. Big almost down. He's popping himself back up to about 50%.
Big's interrupted on his heels.
You're staying at mostly full health this whole match this time. Big has been on the defensive the entire time.
Shanush starting to drop now, down to about 60%. Big's at about 30. Big having a much harder time keeping his health up. Haven't seen the Healing Tide totem come out yet. And there it is. Big still around about 30 to 40%. Shanush still around 75.
And there you have it, Bigstew surviving. And warding off the Warsong Warchief to become the new #1 contender of the Warsong offensive. So there you have it. Bigstew will fight either Emillea or a new #1 contender should Chong win the title later tonight and retire. Regardless, what a series for the Brahma Bull back in the title picture. His final fight in Legion victorious, a triumphant series sweep here in Highmaul Coliseum. And that will do it for the Warsong offensive side of things here. We know our Horde #1 contender, and now we will look to crown our Alliance #1 contender. As we have an encore Duel of the Dreamers. Bigdad, the Guardian of Cenarius. Besides Foxy Hills, one of the most dominant healers in guild history. Back in action tonight after defeating Smokythebear and Valshara back at AFC 17. Tonight he will fight Smokythebear with a new stipulation. That stipulation being that the winner fights either Glenmorrow or the reigning world champion Jovaar on the Alliance Revolution's 10-year anniversary. Will it be the Guardian of Cenarius Bigdad? Will it be the legend killer Smokythebear? That's what we're going to find out. The notable difference tonight being that for the duration of this best-of-5 series, Bigdad will be going Guardian, and we'll see whether Smokythebear goes Boomkin or whether he goes Feral. Glenn, you've had some pretty epic bouts against both Bigdad and Smokythebear. Who do you think is going to come out on top here?
I think Smoky might have it, just given the fact that I think Beg's great at healing. I haven't seen him really do tanking, but I think this is Smoky's element.
And of course, we talked about Jovaar and Glenmorrow's history. It was here where they raided together back in 2015. We should also talk about Bigdad and Smokythebear's history. It was right here in Highmaul where they healed alongside one another when the Alliance Revolution was raiding back in 2015 as well. So they have a lot of history between each other. Bigdad got the win last time. Smokythebear in their career series is looking to tie it up here. And as I mentioned, it will be a 5-round, 2-minute per round contest, with Smokythebear, the former season champion, making his entrance into the Highmaul Coliseum first.
Catch my breath, and I know the weight of the world can crush my chest. I work till I'm dead. I work till I'm dead. I work till I'm dead, and then I'll do it all again. It's not because of that. It's not because of money. Works in my blood, and I kill 'cause I'm hungry.
In 2016, it was the year of the Druids. Smokythebear defeated Foxy Hills, and Bigdad defeated Jovaar, both of them becoming the 2 SNF season champions for that year. Tonight, they will rematch after AFC 17 with a shot at the world title on the line. The stakes don't get much higher than this, ladies and gentlemen, and it is going to be a fantastic encore between 2 very legendary Druids, the second of which being the 6-time champion, Bigdad. He might not even need that. Bigdad in the red zone, trying to battle back. Can he do it? No, he can't. Gets silenced, and then out of the silence, gets dropped by Smoky, now leading 2-0. So it's desperation time for Bigdad, who is down by 2 in the series. We've seen Bigstew and Krazelbang both advance with series sweeps, and Smokythebear will look to do the same. And what history Smoky has with both the world champion and the #1 contender on the Alliance side. Whether it's Jovaar or Glenmorrow, that would be a very interesting matchup on the Alliance Revolution's 10-year anniversary. Bigdad not out of it yet, though. You can never count out the Guardian of Cenarius. 6-time world champion. We'll see if he can stay alive in this series up next and perhaps earn the opportunity to become a 7-time champion. Smokythebear wisely letting those cooldowns come back up, using that rest period to his advantage. And it's crazy to think 3 years it has been since these two legendary druids were in this arena. They are back here tonight. And what a night it has been. What a night it's going to be here. Round number 3 officially underway. And Bigdad again charging in here on Smokythebear, trying to get those bleeds up and just get the ground and pound going against Smoky. Another stun there from Bigdad. And a second charge from Bigdad as he goes in. Not a lot of health movement so far here in this round. Both fighters briefly neck and neck there. Smokythebear heals back up. Bigdad now down to 75%. Again, it's not just the big damage. You know, balanced druids have that knockout punch. It's the constant dots, the constant flurry of strikes that is just wearing Bigdad down. And so far he has not had an answer as he drops down to 50% and back up to 100 he goes. Charging in yet again. 50 seconds remaining here. Bigdad stunned by Smoky. Here comes the pain from the Legend Killer. Bigdad down 5% and down he goes. Smokythebear again. Expert positioning of that silencer beam there. And what damage from Smokythebear. Taking down Bigdad 3 times, back to back to back, and becoming the new #1 contender for the World Championship. What a victory for Smokythebear, who, on the Alliance side of things, is now poised to fight for the title at AFC 20. So there you have it. Krazelbang, Bigstew, Smokythebear, all victorious with series sweeps. And now we move on to our championship main events, the first of which being for the Warsong Championship. Chong announcing that this will be his final fight, a career that began back in 2014 as Brewmaster, where Chong cemented himself as one of the greatest tanks of all time, becoming the first monk champion. Here tonight, we'll make one final entrance into the arena, and it will be against the very warlock that defeated him for the Warsong Championship to break the long-standing record for warlock champions, that record having been held by Siwas and having stood at 3 titles since 2014. What a rematch it is going to be tonight. Up next, Emillea, Chong, the Warsong Championship, the finale to the rivalry, and potentially Emilea's first defense as champion. We will have that and our main event, Jovaar versus Glenmorrow, up next. So don't go anywhere. AFC 19 continues on right after this. four-time world champion, has never defended a title in their career. It's been quite the journey for the Phantom Phoenix. A journey that took her across all three of the Warlock specs. Really had the most dominant season of their career as Affliction. Tonight, looking to retain for the first time, break another career milestone. So here we go. Emillea going to initiate round number 2.
And the dual flag is down. Immediately tries to fear off the bat, but paralysis goes out. Immediately is keeping lots of distance from Chong right now. Uses a teleport to get away. Chong down to about 60%. Chong's feared. Emillea controlling Chong's movement really, really well at the moment. Chong down to about 10%. And Chong loses his second round.
Was a 4-0 series sweep in their last meeting. So Emillea, as I mentioned, really came into her own as Affliction, just dominant throughout a large part of the SNF season, winning the season championship against Smokythebear on top of Ice Crown, and then breaking the record with a huge win over Chong in Zul Room. So tonight, showcasing that skill that I had mentioned as Affliction. And Chong, again, just without an answer for the dots, Drain Soul for the mobility. Will it be Emillea versus Bigstew? Will Chong retire as champion? Still potentially plenty of rounds to go before we find out, but Emillea wins this next one, and Chong will be down 0-3, which is a situation he's come back from before, but not a situation any fighter wants to find themselves in.
The next duel has been started. Paralysis off the start. Chong's going on Emillea. Emillea down to about 60% for the first time. Chong is feared, and Emillea gets her health back up. Chong down to about 50%. Chong down to the red zone. Emillea wins another round.
Alright, so fourth and potentially final round coming up. So Emillea will initiate the next round. Up 3-0 in the series. And it looks like Emillea is going to go Demonology for this round. Resting it up. Chong was going to go Brewmaster there, but decided against it. So here we have it. Windwalker versus Demonology could potentially be the final round of Chong's career.
Chong down to about 75% early on. Now Emillea is down on quite a bit. Emillea down to about 30%. Chong, they're both back up to about 50 now.
And
Chong wins
just
their
like
round.
that, the Con of War is back in it. Amelia's lead trimmed down to 3-1. Don't count the Con of War out yet. This one could be far from over. And the comeback could be well underway. And it looks like Emillea has switched back to Affliction. And we're going to get back to the action here in round number 5.
John's down to about 70% going at it. Emmelea's still at 100. Emillea running around the battlefield as Chong is slowed by her demons. Emillea is running around the field, just driving Chong, fearing him, leaving her dots up. Emillea down to about 40%. Chong down to 10, and Chong loses that.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Emillea. Go ahead and step up to the center, Emillea. Is your retaining, defending, and undisputed Warsong champion the first title defense of their career here tonight, retiring the legendary Pandaran prodigy Chong. And just when it looked like Chong was out of it, he came back, one last second win there at the end. There is the showing of respect between the two fighters. Chong passing the torch to Emillea. And Emillea victorious, defending, triumphant here tonight as champion. So there you have it for our first championship fight of the evening. It is time to move on to our main event coming up next. Jovaar versus Glenmorrow. This one was kind of a surprise. Glenmorrow had been in retirement since losing to Bigdad in the 2015 Renegades Brawl. It was at that same Renegades Brawl where Jovaar fell short to Great Nick. And throughout 2015, Jovaar and Glenmorrow had had an intense rivalry. It was a highly anticipated potential champions brawl, Jovaar versus Glenmorrow, that, as I said, just never came to be. So here tonight, all these years later, we finally get to see Jovaar versus Glenmorrow on the grandest stage in the grand finale to Legion. Only one of these two veterans, whether it's the returning Glenmorrow or the defending world champion Jovaar, will advance to AFC 20 as world champion. 8 other fighters have stepped up against Jovaar, looking to dethrone him as world champion, and 8 have been struck down. We will see if Glenmorrow is able to pull off the unthinkable and dethrone Jovaar in his return fight, or whether Jovaar adds yet another victory to his growing record reign as champion. Big, you've had a lot of fights against Glenmorrow and Jovaar, all-out wars, really. What's your prediction here? Who do you think is going to come out on top? Do you think Glenmorrow is going to be able to do it and dethrone Jovaar after so many have tried and failed. Some of the greatest. You know, we talk about Foxy Hills and yourself and Well Dog and Emillea. They've all stepped up. They've all been knocked down. Do you think Glenmorrow is going to be the one to finally end the reign?
I just hope Glenn got the rust off because he's been out for a while. But yeah, I think he could definitely give Jovaar a run for his money. It's going to be a great fight. Can't wait to see it.
That's right. And keep in mind, Glenmorrow coming back here. It's been 2015 was the last time that he stepped into an arena. So it's been 3 years since. And this will be the first time tonight since then. And it's going to be very, very exciting to see how he performs and whether he is still the dominant hunter that we remember. And you got to think, even if he's as good as he was, it's still going to be a tough task for him to end the reign of the King of Kings. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. The moment you've all been waiting for. The main event is here, and it is time for a best of 7. Return to Glenmorrow and title defense of Jovaar right here in Highmaul Coliseum.
Let the sparks fly.
Open Jovaar seems to have found. Both are dropping health quickly. Jovaar really quick. Bubble popped. Glen's now taking the damage. Glen back up to 100%. Jovaar below 50. Play on hands pop. Glen now taking damage, but so is Jovaar. Fighters neck and neck. Glen healing up.
Jovaar popping his cooldowns early.
Jovaar in the red zone now. And Glen takes first round. What an amazing upset to me.
Agree. Glenmorrow seems to be back in his true form.
And I mentioned this earlier, but it's worth stating again that this was where Jovaar and Glenmorrow rated side by side. And not only has it been 3 years since Glen stepped into the 1v1 arena, it's also been 3 years since he stepped here in the Highmaul. So what a perfect arena for his comeback, and what a performance there in round number 1 as Glenmorrow, the marksman mastermind, leads 1-0. Who could have predicted that? Against a champion who has been virtually undefeated aside from one loss to Emillea in every series he has been in. So we will see. Keep in mind, Jovaar has been down by 1 before. Case in point, last time he fought Emillea, came all the way back and won the rest of the series 4-1. So we will see. Still plenty of rounds to go here. Big Dad, what are you expecting here for this next round?
Well, I know Jovaar had to surprise him a little bit. He had to use his cooldowns right off the bat. But I look for Glenmorrow to keep the pressure up and use his pets. And hopefully Jovaar can get some strikes in on him.
Emillea, you've had a very bitter rivalry against Jovaar. You got to be rooting for Glenmorrow here in this one. What do you think Glen has to do here as a ranged fighter to, do what you couldn't and put this one away against the reigning champion?
Keep his distance and keep those heals going. I've noticed he's got some great heals. And if he can just keep himself up and keep the distance from Jovaar, he's got it.
So here we go, round number 2.
Fighters neck and neck already. Glen taking some major damage right off the bat. Both fighters back up.
Turtle shell popped, I believe.
Glen's back down at 40%. Trying to keep his distance from Jovaar. Both fighters now down pretty low. Glen keeping that distance and keeping that damage down. Look at Jovaar dropping into the red zone. That stun coming out, but both players stunned in place. This is vital for Jovaar. Blessing of protection, now flash of lights to get Jovaar some heals. Glen better be able to kill himself back up or Jovaar might have this. Glen now in the red zone. And Jovaar takes it.
Both fighters seem to be feeling themselves out with those first 2 rounds. This round here will be critical. What do you think, Am?
I agree.
Ladies and gentlemen, get your popcorn cooked and your cold beverage of choice in hand. Settle in and buckle up, because this is going to be a classic. Keep in mind, it was back on the Chong show where Glenn said that one of his toughest opponents week to week in the Sunday night fights was Jovaar. And of course, their rivalry is up there amongst the all-time classics. And you're seeing why here tonight. Glenmorrow, after 3 years of inactivity, showing that he has no rust virtually, and coming in here and taking that first round. Jovaar answering back, and we're tied up 1-1 in what is sure to be a tit-for-tat back-and-forth war. I think a lot of people would have expected Big and Emillea, tell me if I'm wrong, that Jovaar would have swept this series with just purely due to the rust alone.
I would agree. I thought you were going to take it with no defeats.
Yeah, I agree. But I still have nightmares about the crows from Glenn, from when I fought him as Big Dad.
And just to, as we wait for cooldowns here, go through the list. Foxy Hills, Big Dad, Emillea, Cathaldus, all have fallen to Jovaar, and then of course Well Dog at AFC 16. Whether it's melee, range, tank, or healer, Jovaar has beaten them all, and Glenmorrow stands on the precipice of not just making history, but of winning his first title in 3 years. 3 hunters have held the champion rank, including Glenmorrow. Only one has held it more than once. Of course, Jovaar, on the other hand, holds the records for most titles held and longest reigns, both in the AFC and SNF. So the narratives write themselves for this one as we await round number 3. Already a candidate for fight of the night and potentially performance of the night to the victor.
Glenn already dropping into the down 50%. Shield being cast by Jovaar. Glenn really in the red zone almost now. Just gotta keep that distance and heal up. He's bringing himself up to about 30%. But can that save him? Can he get Jovaar down? And Glenn...
Wow, what a third round. Both fighters in the red zone towards the end, and Jovaar scores his second consecutive knockout. What an exchange. As a fight fan, you gotta love this. Doesn't get much better. And I think in the next round it could go either way. I mean, yes, Jovaar could close out this series, but Glenn could answer right back. And on that note, Emillea, Big Dad, what are your predictions?
I think Glenn's got something left in his toolbox here. think he had some distance there. He had Jovaar running through. It was some kind of a trap that Jovaar was running through to slow him down, and I think he's going to try to work something out here at the end.
Yeah, I would agree with what Big says. I believe Glenn has something up his sleeve still.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, that the winner of this fight will take on Smokythebear at AFC 20. But to Big Dad's point, I do think it's very worthwhile pointing out that Glenn has not lost a step when it comes to the placement of those traps, his movement, his positioning. And it is kind of a phenomenon that a player that has taken, 3 years off, give or take, can come back and play at that level. But that is the caliber of player that Glenmorrow is. That is why I have called him throughout his hiatus the greatest hunter in guild history. And he is still far from out of it here as he looks to battle back and tie it up yet again. Jovaar currently leading 2-1. About 30 seconds remaining on Jovaar's cooldown, and then the action will continue inside of Highmaul Coliseum. What a night it has been, and what a series this is going to continue to be. Do not blink. Determined Glenmorrow is a dangerous Glenmorrow, and he's sure as hell determined to tie this one back up.
Glenn in stealth. Jovaar in pursuit.
Glenn just waiting it out right now.
I think he's luring Jovaar into something here. And there we have it.
I think he was trying to get his trap there, but Jovaar dodged it. Shield coming out already for Jovaar. And Glenn, Glenn dropped quickly there.